German media reports say that NATO has agreed to the largest rearmament program since the Cold War. It comes as defense ministers from the alliance meet in Brussels today. The program includes long-range weapon systems, air defense, and mobile land forces. NATO members are beefing up their troops in response to Russia and its war in Ukraine. Earlier, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that nearly all NATO members had agreed to boost spending to 5% of GDP.
I think it is worth taking a moment to note the historic nature of what just occurred in there, which is not an end state. There's still more to go. But considering 2% was the goal that President Trump set out in his first term, President Trump said, other countries need to carry the burden, pay the fair share. And a lot of people thought that was impossible. It couldn't happen. Here we are, and countries in there are well exceeding 2%. And we think very close, almost near consensus, on a 5% commitment for NATO in The Hague later this month.
Our Brussels bureau chief, Alexandra von Nahmen, has more now on this agreement at NATO.
Well, and Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General, has described this as a historic result and as a historic decision. And indeed, as it seems, NATO defense ministers have agreed on those new military capability targets, though those targets defined the amount of soldiers, long-range missiles, tanks, ammunition that every NATO country is obliged to provide the alliance with, and we are talking here about an increase of 30%. But of course, to make such investments in producing and buying new weapons, they will also need to ramp up their defense spending. And as you know, there is a plan put forward by Mark Rutte. It is on the table to be discussed here, and he wants allies to spend 3.5% on military equipment and to spend, in addition, 1.5% on security-related issues, infrastructure, building bridges and streets, cybersecurity. And this is quite a smart plan, as many say, to justify or to satisfy the U.S. demand to have the 5% of GDP on defense formally on the paper.
That was DW's Alexandra von Nahmen there reporting. Germany's defense minister, Boris Pistorius, says that the country needs around 50,000 to 60,000 more active soldiers. I asked Patrick Sensburg, the president of the German Armed Forces Reservist Association, if younger Germans are ready and willing to enlist.
I hope they are, but until now it seems we're not reaching our target that we had until now. 203,000. We are far away from it. We are around about 180,000 active soldiers, and we are in front of a NATO summit. And the expectancy of the minister is that the NATO has got a higher demand. So he's expecting around 250,000 active soldiers will be the demand of NATO. So that's why he published this number right now.
How do you explain this, I guess, shortcoming, if you will, Mr. Sensburg? I mean, why don't more Germans want to join the armed forces?
I think the German military is a really good employer, but people have different ideas about their job. They want to be a baker, architect, a journalist or teacher. And I think we reached the number of citizens that want to have the job soldier. So we are again in the discussion about conscription, about a mandatory service, because just with advertising or good working conditions in the military, we can't reach the number that is needed.
Do you think that the government will be forced to bring back conscription?
I think in the end, yes, because we not just need around about 300,000. This is our number of the Reservist Association, not just a huge number of active soldiers. We need society that can defend the country. So we need reservists. And that's the reason why We will have the debate about conscription, about a mandatory service. We don't reach the number of active soldiers yet, and we don't have enough reservists for the resilience of the country. So we will have the debate, and I expect at the end of the year we will have a discussion in the parliament to reactivate conscription.
Do you think, Mr. Sensburg, that there is an awareness in society that Germany needs soldiers and that it needs people to defend the country? I mean, is there an awareness of that is satisfactory in your opinion?
I think it comes step by step. When we talk about the awareness of defending the countries, we also talk about defending our European values, defending freedom of free speech and many other values that we are defending. And so I think until the war in Ukraine started with a full invasion, Russia in Ukraine, I think the discussion also in Germany and other EU countries began, what does it need to defend our way of living, our values? And it needs, of course, a contribution of the whole society. And that means a discussion, how can we build up a military that is able to defend the countries, that is able to have the burden sharing to defend the European Union and, of course, also the NATO. And so, in the end, we will discuss a mandatory service. We will discuss conscription.
Yeah, if conscription or the draft, if that comes back, I'm sure we will be speaking again. Patrick Sensburg, president of the German Armed Forces Reservist Association. Mr. Sensburg, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.